Baby, I'm stingy, want you for myself. Is this the type of vibe that lasts forever? Only time will tell. So fly, be like I like the way that you drippin'. Like I do my own thing and you will never be trippin'. And I'm tryna get this bad, girl, I'm tryna ball out, Scottie Pippen.
What is going on, all you goons and producers? It's your boy, Miko Anthony. With me, as always, Damien's an alien. Welcome to another great episode of The Producer's Pit. We've got a fun one planned for you today. Man, this is a good one. This man, if I look at my notes here, introducing him as a whole resume. Let's start off with self-proclaimed Albuquerque's hottest rapper. Okay. No one's coming from that crown either. So if you want that title, you have to go through Jay, it sounds like. Okay. Producer and entrepreneur. Owner of 1016 at Cottonwood Mall, studio and clothing shop. We also got a fresh release, Pink Pack 2. Hot off that one. Amazing. We talked about it on the last show. Like we said, fantastic. Big fans. And most of all, a professional auntie slayer.
Yes.
Your aunties ain't safe, and they might be, he might be responsible for your uncle and aunt's divorce. So.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, great guest today, Jay Scribe.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Welcome into the pit. Well, as with what we do every show, let's start off with Song of the Week. Weekly song recommendations in general, and locally, of course. Damien, start us off.
All right, so my song of the week, I'm going to choose Nissan Altima by Michael Christmas. Really smooth rap. If you guys are into some chill rap, go ahead and listen to that. For local artists, go ahead and go listen to How It Ends by Micah Thunder. That song is a banger.
Yeah, that one released last week. It was in our news section, but Damien, you finally gave it a listen, right?
Yeah, I finally gave it a listen. It's pretty hard. Hey, shout out Edgar Wonder, too.
Yeah, he produced that.
Yeah.
We're the Edgar Wonder show for a couple of weeks here. What about you, Jay? You got any recommendations?
Yeah, YSB Eli. He's managed by Armin. Armin is one of the head people at Elevator Music. YSB Eli, he just dropped a music video for his song Back West. It's spelled B-A-C-C, Back West. That song is super dope. As far as local picks, I would say he's either Author Two Things. That song going crazy right now. So, yeah, definitely check that out. It's some heat, for sure.
As we say on the show, certified bangers.
Yeah, exactly.
Or no, bangers only.
Bangers only,
that's
what it
is.
is.
I mean, it is a certified banger, too. Either way, good music. As for me, I always drop electronic music. I'm going to do it again. I found a real small artist out of France named Caris. Their song Alive, really good. I heard it on a 24/7 music stream here. Really blew me away, and for how small her following is, I'm surprised. Real underappreciated. So Carrie's Alive. And as for local, we'll give it to the cowboy killer himself, GFL Paul Outlaw. Great stuff. I love his style of rap. It's like Wild West rap. It's amazing. It kind of reminds me of that song by the Mighty Underdogs with MF Doom, Gunfight.
Yeah. For
everyone who played Skate 3, you know that song very well. But for me, great type of music. I love that Wild West kind of rap style. I think it's super interesting. So as for news, we're pretty light. Yesterday, or February 19th, there was a little performance at Ancora Bakery with Lost in a Memory and the Lost Remotes playing that one. Real fantastic music. Great job. Hats off to both of them. It's a great spot. Got to meet some more community members, got to chat up with Edgar Wonder outside the show. Once again, cool dude, goddamn, he's our new pocket elephant, I guess, because that's all we talk about. But outside of that, Ancora Bakery is a really cool spot. I think they're doing Wednesday night open mics, whole bunch of stuff to kind of revive live performance in this city, so it's great to see it. Well, outside of that, that's all we got for news, and I guess we'll get into talking with Jay Scribe when we come back.
They used to see us last, flip the script, it's in reverse. Had to grab it out the mud, grab it right.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jay Scribe, and you're watching Producer's Pick on Albuquerque Public Access.
They used to count me out, now they asking for a verse. Yeah. Then the money do a backstroke. Yeah. Hit the stew, I need the cash flow. Yeah. Verse be hitting like an astro. Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of the Producer's Pit. We are here with Jay Scribe. We got a whole bunch of good music recommendations from him and from us, as always. So let's get into it. With any good artists like yourself, there's an origin story. So tell us a bit about your musical background and what got you into rapping.
For sure. So my mom and her siblings, they used to live in Oklahoma. And so they all actually grew up and went to performing arts schools, and they went to International Baccalaureate Performing Arts School. So they all had like crazy training. My mom was a violinist for 7 years. She actually double majored as a vocalist. My uncle, y'all probably have heard of him, D. Brown. He's a vocalist. He plays keys. All of my aunts and uncles, they all musicians, right? But nobody taught me nothing. So like coming up, they was all singing and playing instruments and stuff around me, and nobody taught me nothing. And then so after a while, I grew up listening to primarily gospel music. So I started to kind of mess around with it. And I remember, I think it was either, I'm pretty sure it was 8th grade. And we got our tax returns, and I convinced my mom to give me a MacBook. And this was before I knew why I needed a MacBook. I just saw like a lot of people was making music and they was using a Mac. And so I just convinced my mom to give me a Mac, which was crazy because at the time, we didn't even have our own spot. It was us and my grandparents, and we was all living in this house together, and we didn't even have our own place, but I convinced her to give me a MacBook. And so I got that. I had messed around with music before, but it was never like nothing serious. I might have like tried to download a free software on somebody else's computer and try to make a beat or something, but it was nothing that really held weight. And then so I started making music. After she got me that MacBook, I convinced my dad to give me a mic, and he got me like a $60 mic. It was terrible. And then before I even had recorded a song with that, because I didn't know what an interface was, so I just got a mic, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna get this XLR to 3.5 millimeter cable, and I'll be able to record. And that was not how that worked at all. And so I never even recorded a song with that. I probably had the MacBook for like 6 months, maybe even a year before I recorded anything. And so I eventually got a Blue Spark. And then I started making music and just started at first it was just, I was making music, putting it out. I dropped my first song. I remember I was in 8th grade. I was sitting in class. I had it on my phone. I had uploaded it to SoundCloud as a private link. And then my friends was like, nah, you should make it public. So I made it public. At the time, this is 8th grade. Like, nobody's really rapping. So I made the song public. It had like 3,000 streams. And like, I thought, okay, this is lit. So I was making music here and there. And then my freshman year, I started making music. I met Isaiah. I don't know if y'all heard of him. He's a local rapper. And they were the way I met him, people were you know how it is, like when multiple people do something that's not usually done, people try to pin them against each other. So they were like, oh, Isaiah, you got competition. Like this dude, Jay Scribe, he raps. And so we met each other, and he introduced me to a lot of people in the local scene because I wasn't really in the scene like that. And even like I was born in Texas, but I moved here before I was 1. So I've lived here pretty much my whole life, but I was never really around many people. We lived in the hood, so I wasn't really going outside like that. Like I had certain friends I would play with outside, but it wasn't like a thing where I was just outside all the time, like 'cause a bunch of crazy stuff happening. And then so I didn't really know people like that. And on top of that, I went to an international baccalaureate school. I went to an international school up by Mesa del Sol, so I was way out the way. So the only time I really saw people was at church and at school. And so once I got older, and like I said, when I met him, he started introducing me to different people in the local scene. I started to go into all the Jam Spot shows. If there was a show at the Jam Spot, it was a rap show, I was there. And so I was able to meet a lot of people that way, and I was able to start performing. And yeah, that's pretty much how it started.
All right. Now, there's a real big kind of thing that Damien and I talk about a lot with rappers, and it's always shaking that stigma of being considered like a SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah.
And we always talk about how that's such a challenge for upcoming rappers because they get mixed in with that category.
Yeah.
So for you, how do you felt like you ever kind of faced that kind of stigma, and if so, how did you kind of rise above that?
Yeah, I think when I first started making music, especially like in middle school, I just dropped a song on SoundCloud. That's all I was dropping on. So, and my sophomore year, I signed up for DistroKid, started dropping music on Spotify, Apple Music, all that. And so I dropped my first song. It did 10,000 on Spotify. And so that, out the gate, people stopped considering me as a SoundCloud rapper. Like I was putting up numbers. So that was my first song. And at the time, I was like kind of chasing a hit. So I was recording music all the time. But I pretty much wouldn't really finish songs, or as soon as I liked the song, I would drop it. So I made a song. This was in September of 2018, I believe. That was my sophomore year of high school. I made the song. It was called, I think my first one was Through the Light. Through the Light, I dropped it everywhere, 10,000 on Spotify. Then I dropped Run It. I think it was that same month, or maybe October. I dropped that. It had like 5,000 on Spotify. And then the third song I dropped was Minute Maid. And that was the one that got me on the news. That was the one that got me music video. Like, that was the one that broke me out of all the stigmas. Like, at that point, it was like, okay, I'm doing things that's setting me way apart from all these other people, especially at such a young age. So it was cool.
Well, before I do want to get in a Minute Maid here in a sec, but we hear a lot about your Uncle D, about how he's a real talented guy as well.
Sure.
Tell us a bit about him, and if there's any inspiration or anything you learned from him that kind of translated into your music career.
Yeah, so when I made Minute Maid, it was actually at his house. And so, he had like a whole studio, but I didn't even know how to use his equipment. So I was recording in like his studio room, but I wasn't using none of it. I still had the same Blue Spark and like a Focusrite interface. And so I recorded that, and I mean, yeah, he definitely had a lot of inspiration. But like I said, all of them, they be busy, so they never taught me anything. So I would see that they was active in music and doing shows, but I don't think I ever consciously thought like, oh yeah, they're doing it, so I could do it. It was kind of like, and then they were really primarily when I was growing up on the gospel side. So in my mind, I don't think I ever had any correlation with what they were doing to what I was doing, just because it was rap. Even though I'm clearly not talking about nothing crazy in my music, but it was just like, I just never really pieced those things together, to be honest. But yeah, he's definitely inspiration for sure, as far as just being around musical people probably helped me subconsciously. But I never consciously thought like, oh yeah, they're doing this, so I could probably do this. It was never like that.
All right, so on the Minute Maid, I mean, take us through, how making that track was and how it felt to have it, take off like it did.
Yeah. So, man, Minute Maid, it was lit for sure. At that time, I was a ref. I worked with I-9 Sports, so I was refereeing like kids football and basketball and soccer and stuff. I didn't know nothing about soccer. It was bad. But I was at the field one day, and me and one of my friends, she had just got hired over there, and then we was kind of just kicking it, and then I just kind of thought of the line of I get the juice like Minute Maid. And so that line was kind of just stuck in my head. I didn't know how I was going to use it, how I was going to incorporate it, but that line was just stuck in my head. So when I ended up going home, I was going through beats, and I actually wrote the whole hook before I got to that part. So I wrote the hook after I found the beat. Like, I was like, okay, I'm vibing with this. I wrote the hook, and after I finished the hook, that's when I remembered that line. Oh, I get the juice like Minute Maid. And then so I threw that in there, and I recorded the song in like 30 minutes, if that. And then I remember when I played it, I sent it to somebody, and he told me it was trash. And I was like, dang. But I dropped it anyway. And then so after that, like, I tried to show it to my uncle, but he was just busy. Like, he never even listened to it. And like, there was a lot of things that actually happened before it dropped that probably should have discouraged me from dropping it. But I don't know, like, I was just like, okay, this is the song. Because like I said, at the time, I was like chasing a hit. So as soon as I made a song that I felt like was cool, I was just dropping it. So Minute Maid was that third song that I felt like was cool, and I dropped it. And what's crazy too about that is I had my graphic designer, Mitch, he goes by Gimme That Ox on Instagram. And when I found him, he had done an alternative cover for a rapper that I listened to named Caleb Mitchell. And Caleb Mitchell retweeted it. And so when I saw that, I hit him up. I was like, yo, you do art. Like, I'm trying to get some cover arts for my songs. At the time, he charged $5 for a cover. And so the Minute Maid cover was literally $7. And then that song went crazy. It was crazy. And then as far as it blowing up, like, it got to 15,000 because I didn't know what guerrilla marketing was, but I was using guerrilla marketing tactics. Like, I was going around, anybody who would listen to me, like, yo, check out Minute Maid, check out Minute Maid. Yeah. And then, like, I would literally go to school with a carton of Minute Maid, walking around school with a carton of Minute Maid, like, yo, I just dropped this song called Minute Maid, like, y'all gotta check it out. So it was at 15,000 streams, going crazy. And then I got the call from KRQE, like, yo, we heard your song, we trying to see if we can do an interview. I was like, oh, bet, like, this is lit. I'm finna be on TV, it's gonna be cool. And at the time, that's when I started to push my Snapchat, because I was in class, and I heard this girl, she was like, oh yeah, I get like 300, 400 views on Snapchat. I'm like, she don't got no talent. She don't do nothing. And so I was like, okay, if she got all them Snapchat views, I can get some Snapchat views. So I told teachers I was doing a marketing project. I got a piece of printer paper, and it was like a spreadsheet, basically, a bunch of little boxes. And I was going to classes. I was like, yo, I'm doing this marketing project. Can I tell them just write down their Snapchat? So I was going to a bunch of classes, having them literally write down their Snapchat, and then I was adding every Snapchat by hand. And then I remember at the beginning when Minute Maid dropped in November, at the beginning of November, I had like I was peaking at 200 views. By the end of that month, I had 1,000 views. And then a couple months later, I was at like 4,000 views. It was going crazy.
Yeah, no, that was a very impressive thing to see. You dropped it at 16.
Yeah.
And you just, it's like you came out the gate, you know.
Yeah, the video helped a lot too.
Yeah.
For sure. Because I remember I posted, at that time I posted on Instagram, because I had seen Idea was doing different videos. And I posted on Instagram, y'all go stream Minute Maid so I can afford for Idea to do this video. I didn't know how much he charged or anything. I was just kind of just putting that joke out there. And then Jasper from Olad, he hit me like, yo, let's make it happen. And I was like, okay, I'm with it. Like I didn't really think too much of it. And then he was like, okay, well, when are you free? And like really setting up the video, I was like, yo, this is crazy, because I got my first music video for free. And Jasper at Olad be doing a bunch of crazy stuff. They definitely putting on for the city. But yeah, that definitely helped me a lot, making that connection with Idea early on in my career, and then just being able to have that video, because now it's at like 20,000 views organically, and the ratio is like crazy. It has like almost 1,000 likes. So that definitely helped me out a lot. And then my photographer Lucas, being able to do all my pictures and stuff, like that helped me a lot, because even early on, before I was really like a professional for real, before I really knew the industry, it was like I had pro content. So when anybody went on my page, like my Instagram page, it looked like, okay, he do this for real, even though I wasn't really in the game like that for real. But yeah, that was a crazy point. That was definitely the turning point for my career, for sure.
No, I would say the thing I like about your music videos the most is at face value, some people might not think it's anything like crazy or out there, but it's like, I love seeing you guys going crazy in spots around Albuquerque.
Yeah.
It really
for sure.
represents the city. You don't see much of that. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's filmed Atlanta to death at this point.
Yeah.
But
Right.
putting Albuquerque on the map, you know, I really do respect that.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of talented artists. There's a lot of people that's doing a lot out here. But I mean, Albuquerque is not one of those cities where we haven't learned how to support an artist from our city yet. So there's a lot of people who is dropping, a lot of people who's doing a lot of stuff. There's probably somebody out here with 30,000 followers in Albuquerque that I've never heard of, just because like Albuquerque's a small city, but there's so many people that like nobody's really broken that barrier. Like even with me, like I don't feel like I'm anywhere close to conquering the city or being somebody who's like a local celebrity, because there's almost 1 million people here and I only have 7,000 followers. So I feel like I haven't even broke the surface yet, and I feel like nobody really has. And so, and I talk to a lot of artists that feel like, oh, well, we've all done all we can do in Albuquerque. We got to go to LA. We got to go to New York. We got to go to, and I'm just like, bro, I feel like personally, if you can't make it in a city like this when people are dying to be entertained, you're going to go to LA and struggle. That's just how I feel.
All right. Well, as far as local stuff goes, does the event Party in the Park have any significance to you?
Party in the park? I have no idea. This the Nardwuar field. I
Yeah,
have no idea what's
exactly.
going on. Party in the park. Nah, I don't know.
Nah, you don't.
Nah, party in the park.
Let's see.
Who was there?
Someone told me about it. It's told me to ask you.
Party in the park.
I mean, I did also find some about Jay Scribe's house party
Oh yeah.
as well. That
Oh,
could've
I know what you're
very
talking
much
about.
been-
You talking about GradFest. GradFest was crazy. GradFest was super crazy.
There it is.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So my photographer, yeah, that's crazy. My photographer Lucas, he was having a graduation party and his mom booked out the park. And he called me one day. He was like, "Yo, my mom booked out the park. Let's turn it to a festival." I was like, I don't know about that, bro. So at first, I kind of just brushed it off like, oh, he probably forget about it. I'm not really trying to do this. I don't feel like my audience is even all that to where we going to bring enough people. And then, like, he was really on me. Like, he kept calling me like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to turn this to a park. Then he got the flyer made, and then he had a media day. Like, videographers was there doing like, promotion and stuff. And then, like, it was crazy. When the event first started, like, it was a bunch of local artists. And so we were all pitching in for like speakers and stuff. And it was supposed to be his graduation party, so there was food. His mom had got food and stuff because it was like his graduation party. But we turned it to a festival. And it started to get traction. Like before it happened, it started to get some traction to the point where the city was calling him like, yo, I see y'all are doing this festival. It says it's supposed to be a graduation party this day. He's like, no, that is the graduation party. We just kind of, we merging it. And so we did the event, and there's a recap video on YouTube, and you can see like during the day, it's not too many people there. It's looking like a normal graduation party at the park. And then like as it gets later and later, like mad people are showing up, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy, because it's all locals. Like we didn't have no headliners, and at the time, I guess like I was getting traction with Minute Maid and stuff, but I didn't really think I had that type of audience. Like I knew I had thousands of people on Snapchat, but for me, I was looking at the numbers as just like, no, I was looking at it like a video game. Like, okay, I dropped this song, okay, it hit 50,000. Let me try to hit my high score and hit 70,000. Like that's how I was looking at the numbers. I was forgetting the people behind it. So then when we started doing events, like GrabFest was crazy because so many people showed out. And it was like lit. It wasn't just like a bunch of people just standing there in the park. If you watch the quote unquote after movie, like people was really turning up. Like that was a crazy event for sure. That was crazy.
So yeah, just doing an impromptu block party then.
Yeah. It was crazy. That was definitely a huge moment for me, for sure.
Definitely. So we also heard that you were recently verified on Snapchat. Is that correct?
I don't know about verify. I got some
verification stuff.
I mean, they gave me some extra perks because when Snapchat starts to roll out stuff, the people who have a bigger following, they'll send them stuff, and then I'm part of Snapchat beta. But I mean, it's not nothing that I would brag about. I don't think it's that special, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, so we hear you have a lot of followers. Is a big thing on that platform.
Oh yeah, my Snap is crazy. My Snap map in New Mexico is pretty much full. Like, yeah, I got thousands of people in my Snap for sure. And I wish my biggest regret of my career was putting my focus in Snapchat and not Instagram. I wish I would have put my focus in Instagram because that's what everybody sees. That's what the A&Rs are looking at. What the labels are looking at. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm just switching over now, trying to grow my IG. But.
Yeah. Do you still have a lot of people Snapchatting you? Or is it tough to keep up with all
honestly,
your
like
fans and people you know?
When I post stuff, like I just be posting random stuff. Like I was never really the type of person to post everything that I'm doing. So once I started to grow an audience like on social media, I started to get into the habit of just posting stuff. And then like me and my friends, we was just doing little dumb stuff, just having fun and stuff. Behind the scenes. So then when I started to post all that stuff, it helped me build an audience and like kind of connect with certain people. Like, I don't know if y'all seen me and Xavier going back and forth, or Z the author going back and forth on Instagram. Like I'll be teasing him about eating Arby's and stuff. And then I just be on social media talking about the aunties, like all that stuff definitely helps. So you just got to find little stuff. Cause I mean, after a while, stuff's going to get played out. So, I mean, it's just about doing little stuff and it's not even about clout chasing. For me, it just kind of naturally happened. Like I just naturally started talking about stuff, and then it becomes a thing when people respond. So like when I post, there's a lot of stuff that I post, if I don't get a response to it, I'm not necessarily posting to get a response, but if I get a crazy response, then I'm like, okay, I should probably keep posting about this. Or like if I'm doing a music video, posting behind the scenes stuff, posting about the store, posting stuff like this. It helps when people can see that you're doing something. And then a lot of times too, like there's a lot of people that I'll meet and they'll be like, yeah, I've had you on social media for years and you're such an inspiration. And it's like crazy because when I go to check their social media, like they never DM'd me, they never sent me a message, but they was watching this whole time. And I feel like as creators, sometimes when we don't get certain feedback, it discourages us and we feel like we're not doing something. But a lot of times that's just not the case. Just a lot of people don't reach out to artists like that. Like when I posted the snippet for Minute Maid and I posted like, it was like, who's ready? I remember I got 5 responses. I got 5 responses. Out of like hundreds of views, 5 people responded. And so I was like, okay, only 5 people responded. And then that ended up being a song with over 100,000 streams today. So, I mean, I don't focus too much on feedback, but focus on feedback. I don't know. You gotta know how to take from it without the feedback guiding who you are as an artist, who you are as a person, what you do, stuff like that. You just kind of gotta take note of it, but not to the point where it's driving it shouldn't be the driving point of why you're doing what you're doing, basically.
I will say one of the hardest flexes I've seen on Instagram was from you, where you, with your most recent music video, you showed off your NBA Jam machine. That was a cool.
Oh, that's
song.
not
That's
even mine.
hard. Yeah.
What? That's
Yeah,
not.
that's my guy. He's actually a local artist. He's a Christian rapper, Christ-like. That was at his house, bro. She was killing me. I'm not gonna lie. We was playing like on set. We was playing the game, and she was really beating me, bro. I was like, nah, let's just go ahead and turn this off. Let's go to the next scene. 'Cause she was getting me for sure, like dunking on me and all that. And I was like, oh nah, that was tough.
If I was a bit more Canadian, I would have a NBA Jam machine to give to you, but
Oh man.
you don't got the budget nor
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, it's all good. We're gonna get there though. We
Yeah.
gonna get there.
Yeah, exactly.
We've also heard you have quite a bit of a knack for filmography.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us a bit about your experience there. Is that mainly for your music videos, or is that for outside of that?
I'm one of those people that I just learn everything. Like I do a little bit of everything, like to where I could be the last person to touch a song from production, engineering. I can do graphics if I wanted to do the cover art. If I wanted to do photography, videography, like I could be the first and last person to touch a whole project. But for me, I like to mess around with stuff. As far as like with music, it started off as music because couldn't afford to pay anybody else, and that wasn't even an option. I don't even think I ever thought, let me go book a studio session. It was just like, how can I do this? And so like once I started recording and stuff, it's kind of always been like, I've kind of always been a natural at just kind of picking up that type of stuff. So when it came to videography, I rented a camera and I shot a video for Darian, I shot a video for GT Peanut, and I shot some other stuff. And it came out cool. Like I feel like if anybody who produces music, you can kind of pick up videography a little bit quicker because of timeline of videos. It's kind of like music. Like I would say, yeah, it's pretty much the same but different, if that makes sense. But yeah, I love doing videos. I'm actually trying to focus more on production as far as my company 1016. I think I'm gonna transfer more into production, do a lot more video stuff. And yeah, that's kind of my main focus right now. I'm trying to build a PC for that type of stuff. So that's definitely my next focus is videography for sure.
Well, music videos are pretty well made. Love them. Me and Damien both.
Appreciate that.
Love watching you guys go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Idea is the GOAT when it comes to video stuff. Like I feel like for him, compared to everybody he works with as far as artists, like he should be way further up. Like if there's a tier system, like he's tier 1 and we're like down at 3 or 4 or something. So Idea, like he's definitely been going crazy in the local scene. And then what makes it easy between us, like if I want to do mad videos, we can have a video where like, okay, he's gonna shoot this one, edit this one, and then he's gonna shoot this one, I'm gonna edit this one, and then like if we have a more balanced workflow to where I can kind of lighten the load on his end sometimes, and then he just be going crazy. Like the way I've sat and watched him edit before, and like the way he operates Premiere and After Effects, like he does stuff that would take me an hour in like 5 minutes. It's crazy. Yeah, he be going crazy for sure.
Yeah.
So can you give us a bit more insight into what goes into a Jay Scribe music video?
I guess it kind of just depends on the song. Like when it came to Minute Maid, I was like, okay, let's just do it at this park. We did it at Ventana Ranch Park. And then he was like, well, we should probably get some props or something. And he was like, I'm gonna grab these props, I'm gonna get some cups, some tablecloths, and this stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna just go out and just buy a bunch of Minute Maid. And then like we was kind of just figuring out on the spot. And so we did this shot at the table, and then we had one of my friends, Dustin, he pulled up and he started doing like the drifting the donuts on the grass. And that wasn't nothing that was planned. And then we started doing shots around the car, and then so that helped. All my videos from the past have been more random. Like the Flex video, I was like, let's just go downtown. And then I was like, okay, it would be cool if we kind of played off the concept of like rappers fake flexing. So that's when I thought of the idea to get like some fake chains and some fake money. And then we started out the video with me getting the diamonds tested, and he's like, nah, it's fake. I was like, I'm just put it on anyway. And then we ended the video with me giving my barber some fake money. Yeah. And as far as this last video, it was kind of like, okay, it's a love song, so let me get a model for it. And which it's hard to find models in New Mexico, especially black models. Like I be trying to primarily find black models in New Mexico, and it's a very difficult task. But we basically, once I got the model, my homegirl Tiana, we were able to just kind of set up a couple of shots. We didn't really put too much thought into it, I'm not gonna lie. We was like, okay, at first we were planning to go to Sonic. So we went to the Sonic to shoot outside, and the manager was like, no, you can't shoot here, you can't shoot here. So we went across the street to the Starbucks, and the Starbucks people was cool. So we just shot over there. And then we went to my guy Christlike's house, and we shot it in his little movie room. And that was a cool idea, just set up the lights. And yeah, we shot the video probably like an hour, 2 hours, and got it done. It was cool.
All right. So is there a lot of plans to kind of overhaul how you do music videos with your production side of your company, or is it really just you're gonna kind of play it by ear for these future ones?
Everything I do is kind of playing it by ear. Like, to be honest, everything be so last minute and moving so quick, and I'm completely thankful for that. And like for me, I put all my trust in God, anything I do. So I be feeling like, okay, if this the next chapter you got for me, I'm gonna move into it. Like even with the store, when I started my store, I just was reaching out trying to get an advertisement, and then they hit me. And they were like, yeah, we remember you from when you were on the news for Maid. And so that just goes to show how things come full circle. But we remember you from when you were on the news for Maid. They kind of talked to me a little bit, and they were like, we think it would be cool to put a studio in the mall. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. Like, I could do that. But at the time, I'm thinking, like, I don't really have the bread to go start up a whole studio. Like, if I was going to start my own spot, I would have done that already. So the next day, I went to see the space, and they showed me like a few different spaces, and then like things just kind of worked out. Like I don't even know how to explain it, because like I'm talking about going into this business, I had no type of capital, and then things kind of started to unfold, and things was just working out. And like less than 2 weeks later, I was in a spot already setting up, and we was able to open in October, and it's been crazy. Like I was never thinking about opening a store. So now everything that I do is kind of just playing it by ear and seeing what the next move is. And like for me, my goal is to be a serial entrepreneur. I want to be like 10 years from now, I want to be able to get up. If I decide I want to make a video game, I want to go, okay, I got this marketing team, I got my company, we're going to go find somebody with a dope game, we're going to develop this, we're going to get it off the ground, and we're going to move to the next thing. Like kind of like a Shark Tank type of thing. So yeah, that's my goal. But yeah, I'm planning on just getting on something, building it up, and keeping it pushing for sure.
Now, have there been any like kind of unforeseen challenges that you faced for being such a young entrepreneur, kind of starting up almost like kind of out of nowhere even? Like,
yeah. So, I mean, well, I got my first LLC when I was 16. I was in this class called DECA, and it was basically business and entrepreneurship. I got my LLC because we basically compete. And so I knew that the teacher had told me that basically if you have your own business, there's probably only going to be 2, 3, 4 of these people. So your chances of making it to nationals is way higher. And so I started my business. And at the time, it was kind of just a flex. So I started like a production and marketing company. And then I ended up going on to work for I did some video stuff for I9 Sports. I did some marketing stuff for a bunch of different people. Like I did some crazy stuff. I did some stuff with Cottonwood, like way before I opened a store. And then so at the time, I remember they reached out to me, RRPS, Rio Rancho Public Schools, reached out to me to do this DJing gig. And I DJ'd at one of those middle schools in Rio Rancho, I don't even remember. But they gave me a check, and they wrote it out to Jay Scribe Entertainment, LLC. And at the time, I didn't have a business account. And so I'm going to every bank trying to figure out, like, can I set up a business account? And every bank's telling me, no, you got to be 18, you got to be 18. So I went through a lot trying to get, like, a business account and all that stuff. And then, yeah, there's a lot of things that hold you back when you're not 18 trying to start business. But I was definitely able to get past it. But one thing I noticed, like, I was put in a lot of situations where I was basically handed more than I knew how to handle. So it was like a lot of learning on the spot. It was a lot of trying to piece up different relationships, because it's like, dang, I took this job and I can't quite do everything that I need to do for this job. So I'm gonna have to figure it out. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make it up to it. Like, cause my thing is I'm never the type of person to burn bridges or nothing. So I'm trying to make sure everything's cool, trying to, if something happened where it's a disagreement between me and somebody else, I'm trying to piece it up. It's never like, that's just what it is. We just never gonna talk again. We never gonna do business. Then like I've never been that type of person. It's like, okay, if it was nothing malicious, something happened, there was an accident on set or whatever, like we just gonna piece it up. We gonna figure out how we can make this right. And so I would say the biggest thing I don't know. It's just kind of a learning experience there. What's hard for me is I've always felt like I'm a quote unquote coachable player. So I've been the type of person to where if you tell me something, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna see what I'm doing and try to make something better out of what I'm doing based on your advice. And so once I started to meet different people, started to meet different mentors, and I'll ask them, you have any advice? And everybody just always would tell me, just keep going. I'm like, dang, how is that supposed to help me? Like, but now when people come to ask me, I'll be like, just keep going. I don't know what to tell you. Like, and so it's once you start to get in certain rooms and you start to network with certain people, you start to experience certain things, there's certain things you're just gonna learn. And that's super important. Learning how to read the room, learning how to conduct yourself in a studio session, especially if it's not your session, if you're in there with a bigger artist, learning how to collaborate without stepping on people's toes, learning how to communicate with different people, and it all just comes from experience. I don't think there's like no class you can sit down and take. And I feel like everybody who learns organically just like that is always going to be much better off. For sure, because then you're learning how to beat adversity. You're learning how to get past those things that would stop any other person. And that's like another thing. We're chasing, as creatives and entrepreneurs, we're chasing something that people don't usually chase. So we have to have thick skin. We got to be able to, okay, this didn't work. How am I going to get past this? And so I think a lot of what I experienced younger kind of led to my mentality as far as that, because it's like, okay, if we in the house and the lights is off, crying about it's not gonna pay the bills. You know what I mean? So that kind of just that built up my mindset to where when I started working on stuff, and if it didn't work, okay, let me just figure out something else. I'm not gonna sit here crying about this not working. I'm gonna just keep it pushing for sure.
All right. Well, so far in your very, I should say, storied career, and you just getting started, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Sure. What's been your favorite project that you've worked on, whether it's been music, business, whatever?
Favorite project? I'll say probably GradFest. GradFest was a crazy event for me. I did a couple shows at Meow Wolf. That was dope. The Flex video was dope for me because that was like the first time I was doing something like that, with doing skits and stuff, trying to like act a little bit. Like that was cool. And I think personally my next project, which is gonna be most of the production stuff and getting deep into video stuff, I think that's gonna be my favorite project so far, for sure.
So are there any goals that you've set for yourself for your career thus far? I mean, outside of kind of what you've already told us.
Yeah, I was. And when I first started my first company, Jay Scribe Entertainment, my goal was $1 million by 25, $1 billion by 65. Which, I mean, now my goals are much less materialistic. Like, a lot of my goals don't even consist of numbers. I remember January 1st, I wrote down a list of goals, and it was stuff like create a stronger brand, create a better relationship with my fans, have a better impact in the community. It's no longer like this amount of money or this amount of views. Like, my thing now is, for me, growing up, I feel like there was a lot of things that if I would have heard from somebody who was an artist, or if I would have heard something through music, would have helped me a lot. So now the way I'm looking at my music is I'm trying to put content into it the things that I would have needed to hear 3 years ago, the things that would have helped me get to that next chapter in my life, helped me get through whatever I was going through. And so that's kind of like the driving force of this next chapter in my life, whether it be through music, whether it be through public speaking, whether it be through like basically anything I touch. I want to put out a message out there that could help somebody like me. If there's just one person out there that I could help to get through that chapter of their life, then I'm doing my job.
All right. Well, you've given us some great insight so far into what you've been doing and what might be coming up thus far. So we'll be getting into some music questions here in a bit.
Okay.
When we come back.
Who by my side for the rest of my life? Oh, it better be you, baby. No, I'll treat you right, cause it's rare that I find somebody like you, baby. Tell me what we gon' do, baby. Tell me what's the
Make sure you check out 1016 in Cottonwood Mall, upstairs near Dillard's to the right of Afric Way. And yeah, we going crazy. Make sure if you know any artists that need to get their sound right, make sure they tap in and get their sound right. Sure.
Sitting there thinking to myself like, dang, one day she gon' have mine. Thinking about you, leaving speechless, leaving me sleepless. Girl, you know you're my weakness. Really got me feeling like I'm watching from the stands. Girl, put me in the game, cause I'm sick of these bleachers. I feel like I can
And you are back with the Producer's Pit. We just had a nice, long conversation with Jay Scribe about, everything he's been doing, his experiences in his career thus far. Real amazing stories. But, I know jack all about music production and rapping because I'm a violinist, but my boy Damien here has some questions that I wouldn't even, think of to come up with. So what do you got for Jay?
So how did you begin, like, engineering, producing, rapping? How did that start? Like, we were talking before the show, you said everybody has the garage band phase. Like, how did it start?
So first, originally, I was one of my uncle's computers. I was on his computer. I downloaded some, it was what GarageBand is to Logic. It was like that to FL Studio. So it was like a downgrade of FL. And so at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of messing around, trying to make beats and stuff. It didn't really go nowhere. I probably made 3 beats. I had some app on my phone. It was called iMachine. I used to make beats on that, which is supposed to be connected to the actual machine software, but I didn't know that. I just thought I had an app to make beats. And then when it came to engineering and stuff, it was just my very first song. There was a dude that I was listening to on SoundCloud, and I thought his music was good. So my very first song, I was like, yo, can you engineer this song for me? And then I had $20. I PayPal'd him $20, and he mixed the song. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to pay somebody every time I have to get a song mixed. So I just kind of was just messing around, watching a whole bunch of YouTube tutorials and stuff like that. And it was just kind of out of, I can't afford to pay somebody else for this, so let me just learn how to do it myself, basically.
Yeah. And do you have a process of picking beats or making beats?
Yeah. So I mean, when it comes to picking beats, I listen to beats. If I don't feel it right when it drops, if I don't basically have a hook for it right when it drops, I move through it. I probably listen to 100 beats just going back and back, and then once I find something that I vibe with, I lay it down. For me, I don't have too many songs that I throw away because I usually doesn't get that far. If I feel it, usually what will happen is I'll find a beat and then I'll record a voice memo of the flow that I thought of for it. And if I'm listening to that voice memo back to back as if it's a song, that's when I know the song's gonna be fire. Because it's okay, this song is not even recorded. I don't even have lyrics for the song, and I'm listening to it back to back. That's pretty much my process.
What's the importance of flow and everything with rapping, vocal control and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's super important. I think the biggest thing is delivery. Number one, The biggest thing is delivery. But flow, I would say, from my specific style of music, I try to make music that's more catchy, more of mainstream type of stuff. I would see myself as an artist that's more of a safe artist, somebody like a Drake or something like that. Not that I would say my styles are super generic. I just feel like I'm one of those artists that my flow is gonna be catchy. You could take me to a middle school to do a middle school dance. You could take me to a high school. You could put me in front of a 21 plus crowd, and it's gonna be able to I'm gonna be able to rock it wherever I'm at for sure.
Yeah. And do you have any tips for any of the new artists that are coming out?
Yeah, take notes for sure. Study the people who are in front of you. Take notes, and then if you see somebody on the rise, study their rise. 18 Vino, RP 18 Vino, he was a rapper from South Carolina. He got signed by Jets and Maid. I was watching his come up, and he was going crazy. And then he got shot and killed. But taking notes is huge. Watch how they do certain promotions. Watch the people they tag on their Instagram story. If they post that they're on a blog and they tag somebody, follow that person and stay consistent on their page, because you never know when you might be able to chop it up with them. Oh yeah, I've been following you since 2017. I DM'd you back in 2016, and that's been huge. So take notes and be consistent when you find somebody who's behind the scenes, because you never know when that might come in handy.
Yeah.
Sure.
And what do you think the importance of collaboration is within the city to further artistry?
It's super important, because I know I was having this conversation with one of my homies, and certain people in the local scene, certain people's names hold weight. So if somebody come to me and they tell me, oh yeah, I'm working with Z the author, I'm gonna think of them completely different, because I'm gonna have some context to it. Z, I know Z's the real deal. I know he's not just gonna work with just any and everybody. If people tell me, oh yeah, I just did a video with Idea, it's okay, I'm thinking of you different, because now I have some context, you the real deal. So certain collaborations, if somebody collaborates with me, not trying to sound cocky or nothing, but that's gonna open some doors. Could be just because my name holds weight in the scene. Like if you tell my homies like, yeah, I worked with Jay Scribe, then it's like, okay, I could take him more seriously now. He worked with somebody who I take serious, and vice versa. Like that's just how it is in the industry too. In the industry, everybody's connected. So when I meet somebody, it's like, oh yeah, I worked with this artist and this artist. I know this person from this label. I know this person from this blog, and that opens doors. Like sometimes it gets corny to name drop sometimes, but you have to, like I said, you have to read the room, know when to do certain things. But definitely working with different people, it's not about necessarily numbers, because big features aren't going to guarantee that a song does good, but it's more about the doors that it can open, and then just making good music, making music that you love. You know, that's the ultimate goal, really.
Yeah, and I know that we were talking earlier about believing in yourself. What's the importance of like believing in yourself so other people could believe in what you're doing too?
It's super huge. Like my biggest thing that I would tell anybody out there is to make sure your intentions are pure. Make sure you're doing it for the right thing. Because if you're doing it for money, if you're doing it for attention, if you're doing it for validation, that's gonna crumble apart like soon. Because the thing about being an artist, thing about being an entrepreneur is we face so many things that the average person is not facing when it comes to following our dreams. Like there's so many things that any sane person should have been quit. As far as building businesses, I was watching the story of Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, in my eyes, is one of the GOATs, one of the greatest ever. And he was talking about how he quit his job and started doing plays. He put all his money into his first play and only sold 30 tickets in a 2,000 person venue. And so it's like he did like 10 failed plays before he started to take off. And now he's a billionaire. He's like doing pretty much every show on BET. Like he's one of the GOATs. So I feel like any sane person is like, okay, I already did 10 of these and they done failed. Like we kind of have to have that drive and that determination to push past that. And if your intentions aren't right, you're never going to get to that point where you can push past that.
Okay. I think that's all we have for the producer questions.
All right, well, there you go, Dame. Like I said, resident producer. Without him, I'd be asking you about the importance of, I don't know, chromatic scales or something like that, because that's all I know. So there you have it. Anyways, Jay, I'm happy you agreed to go crazy for us
Yeah, for sure.
on stage. So let's get to that. But we got to take a break first. So we'll see you back for great performance coming from Jay Scribe.
Roy, I love this.
Yeah, for the record, girl, I want you and you only. I would never fold on you.
Make sure you subscribe to Producer's Pit on YouTube. Follow the Instagram at producer_pit. And yeah, you lit.
I desire. Some days I just sit back and admire, cause you look like a model no matter the attire. Yeah, and your smile shine bright. Pet her with the curly hair and the brown eyes and them little freckles, and you got me mesmerized. You the only one I see.
And welcome back to the Producer's Pit. This is the part of the show where I have to ask y'all, hide your aunties, because we're about to have Jay Scribe perform some certified bangers. So, without further ado, Albuquerque's hottest rapper, Jay Scribe, take it away.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it. I'm excited to be here. This first song I'm gonna do is Knockout, and yeah, let's get into it. Look. Hey, $250,000 change, what you talking about? I was still recording at my mama's house, and I ain't even choose to take the harder route, but now I got the juice, and all you niggas so with cotton mouth. Get your bands up, get your bands up. He a funny nigga, he should do some stand-up. Got the sauce now, what you talking about? 20 minutes, it's a hit, it's a knockout. I'm the one that should've never let up for the leash. I just got the bag and now the family finna feast. When you staying focused, all the blessings gonna increase. That's why when you see my wrist, it's looking like a coral reef. I have fam in that old home. We was almost homeless. Then I set the plan up. Now it's all in motion. I was sinking in depression, deeper than the ocean. Now I got the juice, I got the sauce, I got the potion. When I put a weapon, better hope that you're ready. I need a death for every time that I was hopeless and heavy. Ain't enough to make the layup, you're all step with the jelly. And if I'm in the house, it's going up like a fade. And shout out to the one that broke my heart a million times though. Put it in the music, now they listen out the time zone. I got so much hits, can hit the target with a blindfold. I'ma take an inch till the money start to mile. Gang, $250,000 change, what you talking about? I was still recording at my mama's house, and I ain't even choose to take the harder route, but now I got the juice, and all you niggas stuck with cotton mouth. Get your mans up, get your bands up. He a funny nigga, he should do some stand up. Got the sauce now, what you talking about? 20 minutes is a hit, it's a knockout. Yeah. 20 minutes is a hit, it's a knockout. Hey, 20 minutes is a hit, it's a knockout. Yes, sir. Make sure y'all go stream that Pink Pack 2. Pink Pack 2.5 coming, aka Pink Pack 2 Deluxe. Yeah. You already know what it is. It's 2021. We coming with hit on top of hit on top of hit. Going crazy all year. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. I had to flex on my ex, I just spin me a check. In the shop with a smile, cause my niggas are next. Cause he posted up the stats just to make him upset. So my girl did a thing, I'ma handle the rest. I had to flex on my ex, I just spin me a check. In the shop with a smile, cause my niggas up next. And I love it when they hate, motivate me the best. And I'm taking every shot till they taking my breath. Yeah, really down, but then I rose. Pay no mind the opposition, I just pedal to the goals. I'm the hottest in the queue. I saw your case, but now it's closed. Had to cut some people out and keep the homies close. Oh yeah, where were you when I was down and was bleeding? Trust me, I know you only around for the season. You don't know my struggle, I thank God just for breathing. Foot up on their neck, but just know I had a reason. Hey, coast to coast. Now I'm winning and you trying to get up close. You a joke. Wasn't there when I was broke. Now you see a nigga bun like I'm playing for the pros. Had to flex on my ex, I just spin me a check. In the shop with a smile, cause my niggas up next. And he posted up the stats just to make him upset. Till my girl did a thing, I'ma handle the rest. I had to flex on my ex, I just spin me a check. In the shop with a smile, cause my niggas up next. And I love it when they hate, motivate me the best. And I'm taking every shot till they taking my breath. Let's go. Yeah. Hey, I had to flex on my ex, I had to flex on my ex, I just spit me a check, let's go. Now I'm lit, Now I'm lit, Make sure y'all follow me on my Instagram at Jay.Scribe. Follow me on my Snapchat at Jay.Scribe. And don't forget to hide your aunties. Let's go. Now I'm lit. Shorty say she like what's on my wrist. Rolling with my niggas, hit the stew and made it hit. I just got the bag and made it flip. The whip is automatic, we still moving with a stick. Shorty say she like what's on my wrist. Rolling down for sale when we glowing in the whip. Shorty tell her friends about the boy cause they ain't hip. I'm that nigga in my city with the hits, yeah. I put in work, I'm getting paper. Go inside for quarantine, pop out ballin' like a Lakey, yeah. Hey, moving silence, niggas haters. They gon' talk down on your dreams and try to love you when you make it, yeah. They just want the fame, but that ain't it for me. First one of my family in the States, I'm making history. Remember, wasn't no food on my plate, I needed change quick. I'd be lying if I said this path was always painless, yeah. I'm from the bottom of the bottom, I ain't going back. They say the streets don't really love you, I've been knowing that. I'm thanking God like every day, I know I'm more than blessed. We was hurting way back then, but now I'm lit, ayy. Look, shorty say she like what's on my wrist. Rolling with my niggas, hit the stew and made it hit, ayy. I just got the bag and made it flip. Whip is automatic, we still moving with a stick, ayy. Shorty say she like what's on my wrist. Rolling down for sale when we blowing in the whip. Shorty tell her friends about the boy cause they ain't hip. I'm that nigga in my city with the hits. Whip is automatic, we still moving with the stick. Jay Scribe, Auntie Slaying, that's a, yeah, no cap. Whole set moving now. Yes, sir. The Auntie Slayer, the real Auntie Slayer, no cap.
And we're back. If you're just joining us, what are you doing? Because you just missed the best part of the show. A great performance by Jay Scribe just happened. So show up a bit earlier next time. Anyways, Jay, where can we find you on the internet, on streaming platforms? All that.
Yeah, so my Instagram is at JAY_Scribe. Same thing for my Snapchat, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all that stuff. Look up Jay Scribe. I just dropped a music video for On You, which is a song on Pink Pack 2. Go check that out everywhere. It's going crazy. I got another video with Z the Author called Ooh Ooh. That joint is dropping. This is the first time I'm announcing that, by the way. It's supposed to be a secret joint. Okay, but we dropping that. And then, yeah, we going crazy all year. So make sure to tune in. Check out the Auntie merch. Tell your auntie I said, hey, jscribeent.com/merch. And check out 1016 at Cottonwood Mall. We going crazy, for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to pay you a visit too. I'm
sure.
real curious about that store. The Jay Scribe Minecraft server is pending. So for all you waiting for that one, you have to wait for that one just a bit longer. So before we go, we always like to have our guests recommend some people that they'd like to see here sitting where you are. talking to us.
Yeah, so Z the Author, for sure. Gotta check him out. Z the Author, he's been doing this before me. He was like the young dude in the scene before I was the young dude in the scene. So definitely check him out. My guy Pep Sparks, check him out. He just got signed to Arista Records. His song Broke is going crazy on TikTok. It has like 500,000 streams, so definitely check him out. Darian Dallas, he was on Pink Peck too. We've been working on some stuff. Check him out. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, I'll have to give them a look, especially the people that have been on Pink Pack.
Yeah,
Great
for sure.
features, honestly.
Appreciate that.
As for us, pretty much all of our social medias, we're mainly on Instagram for the most part, but you can find us other places too. Producers_Pit, that's where we're at. Show is going to be on YouTube, as always. And, of course, Public Access Channel 27 if you're in Albuquerque. So, I mean, outside of that, for myself, for Damien's Alien, for the talented Jay Scribe, for the Producers Pit crew, for the wonderful crew at Studio 519 here, you know, this is the Producers Pit signing off, and your aunties can come out of hiding now. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah, whoa. Had to flex on my ex, I just spin me a check. In the shop with a smile, cause my niggas up next. Probably posted up the stats just to make them upset. Told my girl, do your thing, I'ma handle the rest. Had to flex on my ex, I just spin me a check. In the shop with a smile, cause my niggas up next. And I